Everybody, quiet down. Quiet down, please. One at a time. One at a time. Now, what happened here? You, sir. Who are you?
I'm Charles Chauncey, Lord Chauncey.
Ah. Well, Lord Chauncey, where don't you start?
Yes, well, I received an anonymous invitation in the mail, and so, upon my arrival here tonight, the butler showed me here into this room.
Yes. Mr. Mortimer, I believe. Is that correct? I believe I met him when I arrived. Anyway, do go on.
Yes, well, as I was saying, the butler showed me into this room with no food or drinks to speak of. In fact, it wasn't until the last guest arrived that the maid finally arrived with drinks. When she finally served me, she had the nerve to spill the cup all over my lap, all over my new suit. I was quite angry with her.
Quite angry with her? You nearly bit her head off.
You had an altercation with the maid.
I immediately got up and went straight to the washroom.
You mean you left the room to go kill the poor girl?
Please, ma'am, keep quiet.
I did no such thing. I went straight to the washroom and then returned. I never saw that girl again.
But she did leave right after you, and she looked quite upset. You have to admit that looks very suspicious.
Please, everyone, who was the one who found the body?
I did. Lady Evermore. Well, Lady Jane and I found the body.
So which one of you is Lady Jane?
She's the one we found last, when you arrived.
Oh, right, I see. So where was it that you found the body?
Well, after Lord Chauncey rushed out of the room in a huff, and then the maid, and then the butler left as well. I leaned over to Lady Jane and asked her if she needed to go to the powder room. Poor girl, I could tell she was just a bundle of nerves. I thought the walk would do her good. The bad thing is, we didn't know where the powder room was. So we walked around opening doors. One of the doors we opened was a small closet, and before we knew what was happening, out fell a body, dead as a doornail.
Go on.
Admittedly, we were quite taken aback. We must have both jumped 3 feet into the air, and then before I knew it, Lady Jane had bolted down the hall. I yelled for her, but in the dark it was impossible to see. So I ran back to this room and told everyone what I had seen, and that's right when I saw that man walk back through the door.
I'm telling you, I didn't do it. I wouldn't touch a servant ever.
If I may, monsieur, her name was Alice. Alice Mayfield. She was new here, of course, but she was learning the ropes. She had very much potential, and as much as I do not like this man, he did not kill her. As soon as Lord Chauncey and Alice left the room, I followed. I wanted to offer my help to Lord Chauncey and show him where to wash up. I showed him the way, and while he did not accept my help, I waited outside the washroom in case he needed me. He did not leave that room until we walked back together.
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Mortimer.
So, let me see if I've got this right. Lady Evermore and Lady Jane found the body, but after that, Lady Jane ran off. Evermore, you came back here to the drawing room. Chauncey was with the butler, I believe. So after all that, what happened next?
Well, with all that excitement, Alfred, my dear husband, my dear sweet husband.
Ma'am, and you are...
Oh, my name is Tulip, Lady Tulip. My husband was Alfred. Well, my late husband was Alfred.
Ah, thank you. Please go on, Lady Tulip.
Well, Alfred was quite a nervous man. After Lady Evermore came in, he said he needed some air and went out on the balcony. And just left me here.
No wonder he was a nervous man. His wife was a murderer.
How dare you?
How dare I? How dare you?
I?
You
Please,
were the
please
one.
stop. What happened after that, ma'am?
Well, after a few minutes, I decided to go check on him. I am a very devoted wife, after all. Anyways, so I went out to the balcony, but he was gone. I shouted his name and I heard no response. Then I leaned over the balcony and there he was, dead.
Oh, please. We all know you are the one who pushed him.
Now, Lord Chauncey, that's not the truth. Lady Jane said so herself.
Oh, thank you, Mortimer. So, what was that about Lady Jane?
Oh, yes. So, Lady Jane found her way back to the drawing room with all of us. She was an awful fright. She looked like she had adventured through the entire house. She entered right after we found that Lord Alfred had been murdered. When we accused Lady Tulip, Jane perked up and told us that was impossible.
Oh?
That's right. She said that while she was on the opposite side of the house, she looked through the window and saw our drawing room. She said the light was on, so she knew which direction she needed to go. But right then, she said she saw Lady Tulip come out onto the balcony, look around, and then look over the edge and scream. So Lady Tulip's story was true, and she was not out there whenever he was pushed.
Oh, please. One woman's view from a faraway window during a tempest? That doesn't sound very certain to me.
I believe her, rest her soul. And I believe Lady Tulip as well.
Okay, let's just make sure that I've got this straight. So, Lord Alfred went to the balcony, and you said followed by his wife. However, she found that he had been pushed to his death. Her story, however, was corroborated by Lady Jane, as you said, who, however, at the time was lost somewhere in another part of the house. But she had also found her way back to the drawing room. So, after all this, which one of you found Lady Jane's body?
Monsieur, Lady Jane was in a panic and asked for a place to rest. I told her there was a room nearby where she could lie down and that I would stay with her. She was still so nervous, so Lady Evermore offered to walk with her there. So Lady Evermore and Lady Jane followed me to an empty room and we helped her into the bed. She complained of a headache, so I offered to get her some water and a tablet. I assured Lady Jane I would be right back. I escorted Lady Evermore back to the drawing room, and right then is when the bell rang, where I found you, officer.
Ah, I see.
Well, that makes no sense at all. How can there be 3 murders and every one of them has an alibi, including me?
Maybe 2 of you are in it together.
Maybe everyone just died naturally. Maybe my husband really did just fall. Maybe Lady Jane just fell asleep and passed away from stress. Did anyone get a good look at the maid?
That is a ridiculous idea. Surely the butler knew that the maid had been murdered.
Moi, monsieur?
Well, yes, you, because you called the police right away. You must have suspected foul play from the very beginning of the evening.
Excusez, monsieur, I did not call the police. I assumed it was one of you from in here.
It must have been Lord Alfred.
I was with him every moment before he went out to the balcony. There isn't a phone out there.
Well, it must have been Lady Jane while she was lost somewhere in the house.
Well, how could she have done that? The storm seems to have taken down the line.
But then, Officer Burns, who called you?